Ryan Miller woke to a sound he hadn't heard since his last bad decision, the faint, high-pitched hum of guilt. His skull pulsed in rhythm with the cheap Christmas lights still blinking from the wall, and somewhere under the blanket something tiny was snoring. He froze. The last thing he remembered was singing Jingle Bell Rock into a stapler at the office party and texting his ex about emotional growth. The snoring hiccuped. He peeked under the blanket. There, nestled between a crushed candy cane and his TV remote, was a 10-inch woman with pointed ears and a uniform that looked like Victoria's Secret had merged with a toy factory. She stretched, yawned, and muttered, another one who thought eggnog was a food group. Ryan blinked 3 times. Either he was hallucinating or he'd accidentally joined a much weirder dating app. He whispered, "Hello?" The miniature stranger sat up, brushed glitter off her hair, and gave him a look that could file an HR complaint by itself. "Good morning, Mr. Miller," she said. "You've been selected for a behavioral audit. Congratulations, you're officially on Santa's naughty list." Ryan stared. "You're kidding." "I don't kid before caffeine," she said, pulling out a clipboard half her size. "Name, Alpha 23, Senior Morality Compliance Elf, North Pole HR Objective. Assess why human males think mistletoe excuses everything." He rubbed his temples. "Okay, so I drank too much, flirted with a snowman, and maybe insulted my boss's tie. That doesn't require divine intervention." She tilted her head. "Divine? Hardly. We're bureaucrats with pointy ears. Santa runs an audit division now. Every morally ambiguous adult gets reviewed annually. You just drew the short candy cane." Ryan tried logic, which never works against magic or management. "There's no way you're real." Alpha snapped her fingers. His phone lit up displaying northpole.gov, Behavioral Compliance Portal. His selfie camera opened on its own, and a pop-up read Elf Supervision Active. He groaned. "Fantastic. My hangover comes with surveillance." She jotted a note. "Denial, classic human first response. Right after maybe she's into me." He scowled. "Why were you in my bed?" "Standard observation protocol. We analyze subjects in their natural habitat. You're not exactly Snow White material, but it's cozy." He grabbed a blanket for dignity. "You could have picked the couch." Alpha smirked. "Santa's couches are for the nice list. You're under naughty conditions, level 3, intimacy assessment included." He nearly choked. "Intimacy what?" "Relax. It's metaphorical. Mostly." Her grin suggested paperwork he wasn't ready for. Ryan tried standing, but his body disagreed. "Look, whatever this audit is, can we postpone it until I'm less festive?" She circled something on her form. "Avoidance, check." He squinted. "What's the penalty for being on the naughty list anyway?" She shrugged. "Depends. Minor cases get mild hauntings, late deliveries, socks without pairs. Chronic offenders get existential dread before breakfast. You're trending toward the latter." Ryan sighed. "Figures. Even Santa thinks I'm a screw-up." Alpha paused mid-note. "You'd be surprised how many of your species qualify. Humans are fascinating. You crave connection, self-sabotage it, then post quotes about growth. Hey, we're complex. Complex is what my people call moldy fruitcake." She hopped onto his coffee table, inspecting the debris field of pizza boxes, empty bottles, and half-wrapped gifts. "You live like a plot twist in a self-help book." Ryan tried humor. "It's called minimalist chaos." She sniffed. "It's called evidence." He slumped onto the bed. "So what, if I'm bad, I get coal." Coal was discontinued for environmental reasons. Now we use targeted inconvenience. Wi-Fi drops whenever you're about to win an argument. He grimaced. "That explains a lot." Alpha scribbled again. "Sarcasm as defense mechanism, check." He watched her work, part of him wondering if this was a psychotic break sponsored by Christmas. "You actually work for Santa." "Technically under the North Pole Accountability Board. We handle everything from unethical wish fulfillment to elf burnout. You humans invented stress, we just monetize it. Do elves even get paid? Only in irony and cocoa. He chuckled despite himself. Guess I'm not the only one in a dead-end job. She looked up, surprised by the honesty. Self-awareness, rare. Might reduce your penalty. He leaned back. Great, maybe next year I'll earn a participation ribbon. Alpha checked her list again. Ryan Miller, age 32, occupation, underachiever with potential, relationship status, perpetually buffering. Ouch. Not personal, statistical. Our data elves pulled your browsing history. He groaned. You people have no boundaries. We're magical auditors, not therapists. Though given your life choices, you could use one. He pointed at her clipboard. Can you at least tell me what gets someone off the naughty list? She considered. Repentance, generosity, personal growth, boring stuff. Or you can appeal directly to Santa with compelling evidence of change. Ryan snorted. You mean like a PowerPoint? Exactly. Santa loves visuals. Preferably with cookies. He rubbed his face. Look, I may not be saint material, but I'm not evil. I pay taxes. Mostly. She smirked. Intent counts more than execution. Unfortunately, your intent last night involved karaoke and questionable mistletoe placement. That was a dare. And that excuse has never worked in the history of moral audits. He groaned. Fine, how long is this going to take? Until I'm convinced you're redeemable or until I die of second-hand embarrassment. Odds. 50-50. He watched her jot one final note, glowing runes swirling on the page. She flicked her wrist, and a holographic progress bar appeared above his head reading naughtiness, 68%. He muttered, At least I'm consistent. Alpha smirked. Optimism detected. Interesting. He looked at her, tiny, bossy, and inexplicably charming. You know, for an auditor, you're kind of cute. She didn't flinch. Flattery, attempted manipulation. Point deducted. Couldn't hurt to try. On the contrary, it could. We have forms for harassment. He sighed. You're impossible. Correction, thorough. She hopped down, brushing glitter off her clipboard. Phase 1 complete. Tomorrow we assess your empathy and hygiene. Consider cleaning, this place smells like lost ambition. He chuckled weakly. Merry Christmas to me. As she vanished in a sparkle of red light, his phone dinged with a notification. Behavioral review, day 1 complete. Reminder, honesty is sexy. He groaned into his pillow. Somewhere far north, an HR bell jingled, marking the start of the strangest Christmas audit in human history. Ryan woke to the sound of miniature heels tapping on glass. Alpha was pacing on his kitchen counter, scowling at a cereal box like it had personally offended Christmas. Processed sugar, artificial cheer, zero nutritional virtue, she muttered. Typical human breakfast. He shuffled in wearing a blanket like a cape. It's called survival food, he croaked. She gave him a once-over. Survival? You look like a rejected ornament. He poured coffee and ignored the insult. She produced her glowing clipboard again. Phase 2 of your audit begins now, environmental and emotional hygiene. She pointed at the sink full of dishes. Tell me, is this a tribute to entropy? He squinted. I've been busy. Doing what, exactly? Avoiding adulting. He frowned. It's Christmas break. A convenient excuse for year-round neglect. She scribbled on her form. He took a sip of coffee. You always this judgmental. Only before noon. She leapt onto his shoulder, clipboard tapping against his temple. Santa's HR division tracks every moral infraction globally. After centuries of unchecked naughtiness, we've modernized. Cloud storage, data analytics, AI naughty filters. So Santa's gone corporate. Precisely. He outsourced the nice list to the elves. Now we handle complaints, conduct reviews, and occasionally smite influences. Sounds thrilling. It pays in cocoa and existential dread. Ryan laughed despite himself. So what's your deal, career elf or cosmic intern? Senior compliance specialist, thank you. 3 centuries in service. I was there when humans invented online shopping. I still have nightmares. He raised an eyebrow. Guess we're both stuck in jobs we hate. She eyed him. Difference is, I'm good at mine. She examined a wilted plant on the windowsill. Symbolic neglect, she said. Also, photosynthesis failure. He defended himself. I watered it last week. With beer. Hydration is hydration. She sighed. You're hopeless. He grinned. Hopeless but charming. Charming but delusional, she countered. The clipboard flickered. Time for interpersonal evaluation. Do you maintain healthy relationships? He nearly spit his coffee. Define healthy. Mutual respect, consistent communication, absence of passive-aggressive memes. Then no. She nodded. Honesty detected. Rare in humans. I might give partial credit. He sat at the table. You know, you're kind of intense for someone under a foot tall. Efficiency has no size requirement. Neither does sarcasm. She squinted. Is that flirting or deflection? Little of both. Classic human ambiguity. Drives our analytics insane. She opened a holographic chart labeled Human Behavioral Metrics. Your species fascinates us, she said. You glorify chaos, overthink affection, and measure self-worth in likes. Yet somehow, you create art, humor, and resilience. We're complicated, he said. Complicated is what we call broken with style. He leaned forward. You really think we're that bad? Not bad, just statistically inconsistent. You burn forests, then write poems about guilt. You invent cures and diseases in the same decade. You love irony more than oxygen. It's how we cope. With what? Everything. For a moment she didn't answer. Then she sighed. Maybe that's why the old man still believes in you. You fail spectacularly but keep trying. He smirked. Santa's sentimental. His unionized empathy. Don't quote me. The air lightened. Ryan noticed how her wings shimmered faintly when she laughed. So you're like, magical HR? Exactly. We process moral misconduct. Does that include X's? We have a separate department for those eternal regrets. She perched on his mug. We need to talk about your social habits. Excessive sarcasm, chronic avoidance, questionable holiday playlists. He defended himself. I'm self-aware at least. Self-awareness isn't redemption, it's diagnostics. You've got a quote for everything. It's in the handbook. He studied her. You really think you can grade morality? Someone has to. Otherwise you'd all excuse your sins with memes. We already do. Exactly. The conversation slipped into playful rhythm. She teased, he countered. So, she said, tell me about this Mandy person. He blinked. You read my texts. Data elves did. She seems optimistic. That must have confused you. She's nice. I just didn't know what to do with nice. Humans always think sincerity is a trap. Maybe it is. She tilted her head. You sound like someone who wants to change but doesn't trust the process. That's because the process usually hurts. Growth always does. You sure you're not a therapist? HR and therapy differ only in paperwork. He rubbed his eyes. So what happens if I pass this audit? You get moved to the redeemable category. Annual perks include minimal regret and slightly better luck. And if I fail? You join the Department of Eternal Self-Sabotage. Most humans already work there part-time. He chuckled. No wonder Santa drinks milk and cookies. That's coping. Actually, he's lactose intolerant. It's a cry for help. He burst out laughing. For a moment she smiled too, then quickly hid it behind professionalism. Emotional rapport forming. Dangerous. Must document. Her clipboard glowed red. Next test, altruism. I gave my neighbor's cat food once. Expired tuna doesn't count. I donate blood. For money. Still counts. Barely. She paced his shoulder like a commander. You know what your real issue is? You mistake apathy for protection. You think not caring makes pain smaller. He stared at the floor. You've been in my head for 2 hours, don't psychoanalyze me. It's in the job description. He exhaled. Fine. Maybe I don't care because caring never changed anything. That's where you're wrong, she said softly. Caring changes you. That's the only change that lasts. He looked up, surprised by the sincerity. Did Santa teach you that? No. Watching humans fail did. Silence hung for a beat, then she snapped back to brisk efficiency. Audit status, ongoing. But there's progress. Progress. You admitted vulnerability. That's step 1. What's step 2? Stop drinking coffee that tastes like despair. He grinned. No promises. She sighed, half amused, half resigned. You're exhausting. You're bossy. We call it leadership. We call it nagging. We invented nagging before your species learned fire. The holographic list flickered again. Current rating, naughty 72%. Congratulations, improvement achieved. 72? That's barely a D-. Progress, not perfection. She hopped off the counter. Tomorrow we evaluate empathy. Try not to emotionally implode before then. I'll pencil it in. She rolled her eyes. Humor as coping. Predictable but effective. He watched her vanish in a shimmer of red and gold light, leaving the scent of peppermint and judgment. His phone chimed with a new notification. Behavioral review, day 2 complete. Recommendation, try kindness. It confuses the system. He laughed, a real laugh this time, echoing through the messy apartment. Somewhere above the clouds, a tiny bureaucrat updated his file and muttered, maybe humanity isn't hopeless after all. Ryan woke up the next morning feeling lighter, which was suspicious. Normally, he woke up with regret, indigestion, and the faint sense that his plants were judging him. This morning, his apartment was suspiciously tidy, and his phone displayed a cheerful notification, Audit Phase 3, Performance Evaluation. He muttered, that can't be good. A puff of red glitter appeared, and Alpha materialized on his nightstand, holding a clipboard that looked like it could end civilizations. Morning, subject, she chirped. Time to assess your moral performance. He groaned. You mean like, job performance? No. Emotional performance, ethical consistency, and the ability to function without catastrophic ego damage. Basically, a human impossible test. He sat up. Do I at least get breakfast? You get evaluated. Same difference. She conjured a mug of cocoa for herself, which steamed smugly. Her eyes glowed faint green as she read from the list. Question 1. Have you ever lied for affection? He blinked. I've lied to avoid affection. Creative inversion. Marking as partial honesty. That's not a real metric. Neither is your love life, but we document both. She checked another box. How many times have you rewatched a movie just to feel something? More than I've been on dates. So, statistically tragic. Thanks. It's my duty to quantify sadness. She paced across his dresser like a sarcastic coach. Next question, have you ever acted against your own interests? Every day I open social media. Fair. She smirked. Empathy test, rate your compassion from 0 to 10. Depends. Before or after coffee? Average both. 5.3. Precision suggests guilt. Or caffeine withdrawal. She studied him. Ryan, why do you always deflect with humor? Because if I don't, I start feeling things. And that's bad. It's messy. So is tinsel. Yet you still use it. He tilted his head. That's oddly wise for a magical bureaucrat. Comes with centuries of exposure to your species' nonsense. She marked something on her clipboard, her tone softening. You know, most humans I audit never admit why they're really on the list. Because they don't care. Because they do, and that's scarier. He sighed. Fine. Maybe I don't like who I am lately. Maybe I talk big but think small. Maybe it's easier pretending I'm fine than trying to fix it. She stopped writing. That was genuine. Don't get used to it. Too late. She flicked the clipboard. A glowing percentage appeared above him. Norton is 61%. He squinted. That's an improvement. Dramatic. Most subjects flatline at 80. So what's next? Confess my childhood trauma. Tempting, but we'll save that for the Santa-level audit. He stretched, feeling something almost like pride. So if I hit 0, do I get wings? You get self-respect. Harder to earn, longer to keep. I'll take wings. She smirked. Typical human shortcut thinking. A beat passed before she said quietly, there's one final metric. The desire test. His eyebrows shot up. That sounds HR inappropriate. Only if you fail. She stepped closer, the air between them thick with peppermint and tension. It measures impulse control, not performance. Sure, he said, that's what everyone says before an HR meeting. Her voice dropped. The test records physiological responses to temptation. Your species fails spectacularly. I mean don't look so excited. It's science. Right, science. With glitter. Focus, human. She waved her wand, the room filled with a warm golden glow. You'll see memories, regrets, choices undone. Resist reacting. Visions flickered, every mistake, every lonely night, every almost love. His chest tightened. This is cruel. Growth usually is. He tried to joke. Couldn't we just do a survey? Would you answer honestly? Touché. He steadied his breath, memories swirling, his failed job interviews, the texts left unread, the family he ghosted last Christmas. Alpha watched, expression unreadable. When the light faded, he looked exhausted but lighter. She tilted her head. You didn't run from it. Running never fixed anything. I just learned to walk faster. That's progress. She flicked her wrist. The number dropped to 45%. He smirked weakly. Guess I'm halfway decent. Halfway to redemption, she corrected. Don't get cocky. Too late, it's in my species description. She crossed her arms. You confuse arrogance for confidence. And you confuse pity for professionalism. Her eyes narrowed. Careful. I'm authorized to revoke emotional stability. Too late, that ship sailed in 2020. They stared at each other. For once, the silence wasn't hostile. She looked down, almost sheepish. You know, humans frustrate me, but you're interesting. That's elf speak for tolerable. Barely. He grinned. You're not so bad yourself, HR Barbie. Flattery logged. Possibly genuine. Concerning. She hesitated, then asked quietly, do you ever wonder why we still audit your kind? Because we keep screwing up. Because despite it, you still care. You still hope. You joke while bleeding. You forgive people who don't deserve it. It's maddening. That's humanity. We fail forward. And somehow, that's the one thing the system can't quantify. Her clipboard glitched, flickering between naughty and undefined. What's happening? He asked. You broke the metric, she said softly. The algorithm doesn't understand imperfection with optimism. Guess that's our superpower. Or your loophole. She looked at him differently then, not as a case file but as proof. You might be the reason Santa hasn't given up on humans yet. Tell him thanks, but next time send a therapist instead of an auditor. She chuckled, the sound like sleigh bells after a joke no one else gets. A faint sparkle settled on his hand. What's this? Your interim report. Status, pending redemption. Sounds fancy. Means you're unpredictable, which is oddly promising. So, I passed. You survived. That's better. He leaned back, smiling. So what now? Now I report back, rewrite a few cosmic policies, and pretend you didn't emotionally compromise a federal elf. I do that to women sometimes. Please don't. She hovered toward the window, clipboard fading to light. One last thing, she said, don't waste what you've learned. Humor is good, but growth is better. He nodded. You really are HR. Occupational hazard. As she shimmered into light, his phone chimed again. Audit Phase 3 complete. Result, human error, acceptable. He laughed out loud. For once, the label didn't sting. He looked around his clean apartment, the faint scent of peppermint lingering, and said to no one in particular, maybe being human isn't the worst job after all. Far above, in some candy-striped data center, Alpha reviewed his file and smirked. Naughty, redeemable, emotionally dangerous. She closed the folder and whispered, typical human. Ryan woke up to quiet. No jingling, no glitter trails, no sarcastic elf voice asking about his emotional hygiene. The apartment was spotless again, unnervingly so. His phone buzzed on the pillow with a new message, audit phase complete. Final assessment pending. He sat up, half expecting Alpha to pop out of his coffee mug. Nothing. Just stillness and the faint smell of peppermint. He rubbed his face. Guess she's gone, he muttered, and realized he didn't like how that sounded. The last few days replayed in fragments, her sarcasm, her clipboard, the way she'd looked at him when he'd finally told the truth. He laughed quietly. An elf came into my life just to judge me, and somehow I feel better. He checked the fridge. No beer, no leftover chaos, just milk, eggs, and something resembling motivation. Maybe she really did magic. Or maybe he just stopped being a complete disaster for 5 minutes. Either way, it felt new. At work, his coworkers stared when he arrived early. You okay, man? Someone asked. You look functional. It's Christmas, he said. Miracles happen. Mandy smiled from across the office, that same kind smile he used to dodge. This time he didn't dodge it. He smiled back. Hey, he said, want to grab lunch later? No mistletoe, I promise. She laughed. That's progress. Audit results, he said. Apparently I'm redeemable. She raised a brow. By whose standards? Cosmic HR, he said, half serious. By evening, he was home again, quietly amused at himself. He cleaned dishes without a reason, watered the plant like it mattered, and even opened the window to let in cold air that smelled like December. The world looked a little less gray. His phone buzzed again. Incoming transmission, NorthPole.gov compliance update. A video opened automatically. Alpha appeared on screen, legs crossed on a floating clipboard, smirk intact. Ryan Miller, audit complete. Status, naughty but improving. Against all odds, you have demonstrated humanity's most statistically improbable trait, genuine effort. He grinned. You miss me already. Don't flatter yourself. I'm required to deliver post-assessment feedback. Sure. For documentation purposes, note that I'm not smiling, she said, while clearly smiling. You humans have a peculiar effect on data integrity. Our algorithms keep breaking around concepts like forgiveness and self-deprecation. Guess our bugs are part of the charm. Don't push it, she warned, though her voice softened. Still, You've earned a provisional upgrade, nice adjacent. Sounds exclusive. It means you're tolerable under supervision. He leaned back in his chair. So, this is it? Audit's over, Elf goes home, human continues to overthink. More or less. But for what it's worth, you confuse the system in a good way. That's a first. Enjoy it. You've proven that even flawed, messy creatures can choose better when no one's watching. He smirked. You were watching. Technicality. She hesitated, biting her lip, then said quietly, try not to ruin it. The world's got enough Grinches. I'll do my best. Do better. Santa's betting on you. The video shimmered, and her image began to fade. He raised a hand instinctively. Hey, Alpha. Yes, human. Thanks, for auditing me, I guess. She rolled her eyes. Don't get sentimental. It's unbecoming. Too late. It's the only superpower we have. She chuckled. Fine. Keep it. Merry post-Christmas, Ryan Miller. Merry paperwork, Alpha 23. The feed ended, leaving only a faint sparkle drifting off the screen. Ryan exhaled, oddly grateful. He wasn't magically fixed, but something small had shifted, the kind of change that doesn't announce itself with trumpets, just quiet clarity. He looked around his tiny apartment and decided it didn't need to be perfect to feel livable. Maybe the whole point wasn't to escape being naughty, but to understand why he'd been that way in the first place. Maybe humanity's charm wasn't in getting it right but in trying again anyway. He grabbed his coat and stepped outside. Snow had started to fall, soft and steady. The world smelled clean, like new beginnings. He thought about everything Alpha had said, how humans confuse the system by caring when it's easier not to. Maybe that was the trick. Keep confusing the system. Keep showing up. His phone buzzed one last time. A message appeared, behavioral review complete. Final verdict, human error, approved. He laughed out loud, the sound echoing through the cold street. Guess I passed after all, he said to the snow. Somewhere far away, in a glittering bureaucracy beneath the northern lights, Alpha sipped her cocoa and updated the records. Ryan Miller, redeemed enough to cause trouble again, she wrote, adding a small note at the bottom, do not reassign to Grinch department. Potential asset. As the data sealed, she looked out the crystalline window and muttered, you humans, always breaking things, then making them beautiful again. She smiled, a small, unguarded thing, and closed the file. Back on Earth, Ryan walked home through the quiet night, snowflakes catching in his hair, wondering if anyone else had ever been audited by Christmas magic. Probably not. But he figured that was the point. Sometimes redemption doesn't come with trumpets or miracles, just a tiny elf reminding you that being human is its own kind of miracle. He reached his door, paused, and glanced up at the sky. Hey, Alpha, he said softly, I'm still trying. Somewhere above the clouds, a soft voice replied, just loud enough for the wind to carry. I know, human. Don't stop. He smiled, went inside, and turned off the blinking lights. Christmas morning was long over, but for once, that didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a start.